Have you ever heard of flexitarianism or being a flexitarian? Hello, my name is Stephanie. I am a therapist in Long Island, New York that specializes in the treatment of eating disorders and body image issues. If you are interested in this type of stuff, if you're interested in learning about general mental health and well-being, therapeutic tools that can help all of that, please subscribe to my channel as I think you'll find it helpful and interesting. Also, if you like this video at the end, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. So today I wanted to talk about flexitarianism. So I'm pretty sure, at least this is a newer term for me, but I'm very familiar with the concept behind it. And it's something that I recommend for a lot of my clients if they are struggling with wanting to have a certain label for their dietary practices. So let's start off. What is flexitarian? What is a flexitarianism, or what is a flexitarian? So what it is a semi-vegetarian, essentially. So for the most part, your eating habits consist mostly of plant-based foods and or whatever you deem as a vegetarian, all of that type of food, but occasionally you will have meat. And this actually hits home for me because that's more of the type of dietary habits that I have adopted because of, whatever it might be. Because for you, me, it was more of an ethical thing that I was becoming more aware of. So that's something that I have chosen to engage in after learning more about it. So what is so great about it? Flexitarianism is really what we should all be aiming for. And first off, let's go with this whole idea about labeling what we are. For some reason, we like to label ourselves. We like to fit into a category. So that's why you often hear people saying, I'm vegetarian, I'm vegan. It's an identification that you can put onto yourself, and it also helps for you to connect with other people who are also very similar to you. It's just kind of a classification system, and our minds like to work in this type of sense. So I'm not totally surprised. Our minds likes to, file things away so that it's not like just all this information and we're not able to process it. So that's really the reason why we like to label things. However, when it comes to eating disorders or eating issues, labeling becomes a problem, because then when you start to label yourself as strict vegetarian or strict vegan or strict whatever it is, pescatarian, then you must follow rules, and that's the rules that are associated with that type of dietary habit, style, whatever you want to call it. So now what is the problem with this? That becomes very regimented again, which is something that really needs to be addressed when it comes to eating disorders. Usually most treatment centers actually won't take someone who identifies as vegan because it tends to be restrictive. And I know that is sometimes it's very conflicting for people, because, and I understand that some people do choose to be vegan for ethical issues or vegetarian for ethical issues. So it is very difficult, because sometimes you do need to be flexible with that in favor of your recovery. So, but when it comes to eating disorders, usually everything's very regimented, and the things that fuel your eating disorder behaviors are very rule oriented. So when you are vegetarian, we'll just go with that because that's more of the common one, you hear, okay, you can't have any type of meat, and that's the rule. That's what you have to follow 24/7. Now that doesn't allow for very much flexibility, and some people that might be absolutely okay with them. For me, and I'll share with you my story. Let me just gather my thoughts because I'm talking all over the place here. So for my story, I really started to be more aware of the ethical issues behind why people were becoming vegetarian. And it's something I thought about for a really long time. It's something that it bothered me for a period of time, for a long time, and I knew that there was just no way I would be able to be mentally or physically healthy at this point in my life, totally going vegetarian. So I had a conflict there, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that just kind of means that you eat meat every day. And then I really started addressing this and learning more about it and thinking, well, I don't necessarily need to, and I don't necessarily want to have meat as every part of my meals, but I do want the flexibility that if I want meat, I can have meat. Like, I like Wahlburgers, I like burgers, and I like steak and all that stuff. So what I decided is that most of the time I found myself for like during the week, or most of my days really sticking to things that just ended up being more vegetarian by nature, not necessarily trying to do that. That was just more of what I was reaching for. So for the most part, how it happens is that I eat mostly plant-based, mostly vegetarian types of items. However, if I want to, and if I am going out to eat, I'm going to get chicken parmesan, or I'm going to get something that isn't vegetarian. So I wouldn't fall as a vegetarian. So what is the label to you? Is it something that could be flexible? So let's say maybe you have called yourself a flexitarian, if that's something that you identify with. But let's say if you are a vegetarian and you occasionally have meat, that doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden not worthy or unethical or anything like that. It just means that you're human, and it means that you're flexible, which is pretty cool. So you could be vegetarian style, and I guess that's what this term has now encompassed, vegetarian style, or you could be vegan style, that for the most part you are eating vegan or vegan types of foods, but it doesn't confine you to not ever having something that isn't vegan. So it was Carrie Underwood who said that she is a practical vegan, and most people didn't know what that meant. And what it came down to was that she doesn't believe in waste. So whenever, let's say, she goes to a restaurant or something like that, and the waiter accidentally brings out cheese on whatever she's eating, she's going to just eat it because she doesn't want to waste it, and it's something that it's okay. She's flexible with it. She doesn't have to beat herself up, or she doesn't beat herself up for having cheese. And I think that's something we can all learn from. We don't have to identify or confine ourselves with certain rules. We can be flexible. You could be a flexible vegetarian if that's what you want to call yourself. You could be a flexible vegan if that's what you want to call yourself. If you need to have a label for it, label it whatever you want, but follow your own rules. You don't have to follow exactly the rules that are outlined for that type of lifestyle. So it's just about being flexible. That's what it all comes down to, is being flexible. If you want to have meat every so often, have meat every so often. If you want to have something that's not vegan every so often, have it. If you tend to stay away from things that have a lot of added sugar in it, but you want a soda sometimes, have it. Like, it's okay. But when we just restrict ourselves from any type of food group, that can become an issue, and it can develop into an eating disorder. So I know I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but I did want to address also the all or nothing aspect of these types of lifestyle definitions or lifestyle labels. We as a society, for the most part, most of us are very all or nothing thinking. So we think that we either have to be a vegetarian and ascribe to all the rules that a vegetarian is supposed to go to, or we're not, and we're always eating meat. And that's just two very different extremes. There's a lot in between. You can, like I said before, more like what I do, or more like what a flexitarian does. You can have what you normally eat, and then every so often you have something that's meat, if that's what you're wanting, if that's what you're craving, or if that's just what's practical. Whatever it is, we don't have to be all or nothing. There are a whole lot of colors in between the black and the white. And that's what we need to start aiming for in our daily lives, because that is what brings us balance. With all that said, I want to know from you, what are your thoughts about being a flexitarian? What would you describe yourself as if you have a label for yourself? Or if you don't, what would you label yourself? So I'm really interested in hearing all about that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in these types of videos and you want to learn more, please subscribe to my channel. My face will be somewhere over here, I believe, on this side of the screen. I keep forgetting. And you could click on it and subscribe to my channel, and there will be a video over here that I believe you will also enjoy. And I will leave a link down below for my blog if you're interested in learning more about this type of stuff. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.